This part deals with process model, method, and practice. There is a slight difference in the semantics of these terms. So, on the former slides, when we talked about essential things, we learned what process was. So let us repeat it. It's just the actual work, the activity that either involves mental or physical effort that is done in order to achieve some result. And actually, it corresponds to a concrete set of related activities that transfer input into output. So here in this cleaning process, we have dirty floors, which is input, and output are clean floors. An order between these activities may or may not be important. It depends what we are doing. Okay, but the actual work, well, is okay when you know how to clean floors. But when you have many employees, like for instance, we have one company here in Sweden, and I use its services. It's Städ Giganten. Städ Giganten is the company that comes to homes and cleans their homes. Yeah. So they have to impose some kind of a description of how all these cleaners should work, so that the quality of cleaning in one house made by one cleaner is the same as the quality of cleaning done in another house by another cleaner. So what they should do is that they should observe what is the best way of cleaning houses, and they should create some kind of a description of how cleaning should be conducted. So here we have so they observe the reality, the work, the process, and using information or feedback from the process, they create a process model. And the process model looks like that. You should first hoover floors, you should scrub floors, you should wipe the floors, and you should polish them. So here now suddenly we have a description of how work should be done, a process model. Yeah. So a process model is some simple abstract picture of real life processes. And they are always depicted from a certain perspective. You know, there are many different perspectives. You have developers, they look at development process from implementation perspective. You have testers, then they look at the same process from testing perspective. Yeah. In cleaning, so you may have cleaners, they look at the process from the cleaning perspective, and you have controllers, and they look at this process from another perspective. Controllers that the quality has been done. Here we have this process model, and it's a good model. Of course, you should hoover floors first, you should scrub floors, you should wipe them, and you should polish them. This is the order, and it is definitely the right order. But we may sometimes create bad process models. Like here, you cannot start polishing dirty floors, yeah, and then scrub them and then wipe them and then hoover them, because definitely will not get the quality of the outcome. Your floors will not be clean. So a process, when you conduct a process, you have some kind of a process model. So here you have the steps, hoover floors, and you simply follow these steps by executing this process. So we say process is the execution of the process model. So just to repeat, process is a set of activities and associated results which produce a software product in this case. In case of software engineering, in case of cleaning, produces a clean floor. And a process model is a simplified description of a software process which is presented from a particular perspective. For instance, a software development perspective from programmers, testers, quality managers, and so on. But there is also another term, method. So, okay, I mentioned that process model and method might be synonyms, but it's not actually true, because process model is just a set of activities, yeah, describing what should be done. But then you may have guidelines for how to execute process model. Then you may have, if in case you have a design process. So these would be the steps for how to design a software system. But then you might have also some kind of notations, object-oriented notations for how to design systems. You may also have some kind of rules, for instance, in object orientation regarding the designs, or even rules for the process. So all this together is usually called as a method. And it's some kind of a structured approach to some work, like software development, and this may include all these things. Okay, but then we have something called practice. I don't want to confuse you. I'm just saving you all the terms that are relevant within the industry today. So it's some kind of customary or a habitual procedure or a way of doing something. So here we have Muslims praying, yeah, and we have Christians praying. They do the same thing, but they do it differently, yeah. So it's a way, expected way of doing something, depending on the environment, on the culture, on whatever. And just to tell you that today there is such a confusion within software community. So I would just advise you to know that there is a very thin line of difference between software method, software process, model, and practice. But still is, if you think of a practice as some kind of a little process model, yeah? So maybe this would, and process model something bigger. Okay, and the new way of developing software today is actually a little bit different from the original one. Originally, we had a monolithic, a huge process description of how the whole development should look like. Yeah, but today, actually, the set of things that have to be done are specified by various practices, like a practice of programming, a practice of testing, a practice of doing other things. Yeah. And when you collect them together, you get some kind of a method. So just if I may come back to this slide, when you collect all these things, guidelines, process models, design, rules, here you have a method in a traditional sense. But here, what is meant is that method is a set of all types of practices, whatever practices you combine. And in this way, when you combine them well, you get a method. Okay? And why do we have to model processes? Well, there are many reasons for that. Please observe. Let's go back to Städgiganten, the Swedish company, where they clean houses. Yeah. First of all, you have to have a common understanding of how work has to be done. I mentioned that you want every cleaner to do the same cleaning job, provide the same quality, irrespective where it is and who it is done. The same is with respect to software development. You want every developer to conduct the same quality work and to understand what needs to be done and in what step. Yeah. Also, if you have many developers, you have to make sure that everybody works in a methodological way. Having a method description, they may avoid chaos and stress because they may just follow the method and see what is requested by them. And also, if they have skipped some method step, then they may see, oh, I arrived in this stress and chaos because I skipped these very important steps. So you impose some kind of consistency and structure on how you should work. So you guide the actions, you provide how to the developers. Provide structure guides on actions. And of course, you control. Please observe that within software industry, you just do not develop anything and you are not controlled, because one developer may produce within 1 hour 25 times better than the other developer. And of course, the companies want to achieve as high productivity as possible. So by controlling, checking how things are done, you simply try to improve the method, and you and by controlling it, you can see where are the problems, what can be improved in the method, and you create a new method. Yeah.